Now it's time we discuss the elephant in the room, or bear in the room. This video is about Ursaluna. What's up guys, it's TheJarvitar, and one of the greatest aspects of the Pokémon franchise is the ever-evolving roster of new and exciting Pokémon. See what I did there? Evolving. One thing that I specifically have a soft spot in my heart for are the new evolutions of old Pokémon that get introduced years down the line. I love to think and theorize about what Pokémon will be getting new evolutions. So much so that I have videos on this channel already dedicated to that exact thing. I honestly can't even tell you how excited I was when I saw Pokemon like Annihilape and King Gambit introduced in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. There's honestly nothing that builds up hype for me more than Pokemon like these. So you can equally imagine how excited I was when Pokemon Legends Arceus came out with a whole lot of new evolutions for old Pokemon. The one that I've found myself loving the most is the normal ground type evolution of Ursaring, Ursaluna. This evolution I am sure took almost all of us by surprise. There was no part of me that thought that Ursaring of all Pokemon would be getting an evolution. Personally, I felt like the line was solid, and an Ursaring absolutely wrecks in a playthrough of Crystal since you can actually get its head to Ursa relatively early. Like, for real. Give this thing Headbutt and you're set for the rest of the game. You're good. But I guess in an effort to bring this Pokemon into the modern spotlight, they decided to beef it up with this new addition. And beef it they did. They took Ursaring's base stat total of 500 and bumped that up to 550. Ursaluna is so strong that it borders on a pseudo-legendary Pokemon at that point. 140 base attack beats out offensive staples like Garchomp, and even Tyranitar has an attack set of 134, making it 6 points less than this big ol' bear. That isn't to say that Tyranitar is weaker though. My boy is still the GOAT. The GOAT! But at any rate, you get the idea. Ursaluna is a really great Pokemon. So what's the point of this video? And its aggressively clickbait title? Well, they didn't stop there when it came to making additions to this line. Equally as surprising as it was when we got the normal form of Ursaluna, we ended up getting a second form for it just a short while later. In the Teal Mask DLC of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, you can run into a new NPC named Perrin, and let me tell you, someone cooked here. Perrin is easily my favorite new NPC from a Pokemon game in years, for whatever reason. At any rate, you run into Perrin, and after catching enough Pokemon in the regional Kitakami Pokédex, she offers you a side quest. It is her hope that she might get a picture of the elusive Bloodmoon beast that, according to legend, lives in the area but has yet to be officially documented. So with that, you head to the area with her and you do a fun little side quest where you take pictures of local Pokemon, and after completing the objective, you are then confronted by the Bloodmoon beast, which turns out to be a unique form of Ursaluna, its Bloodmoon form. From there, you do a little raid battle and catch it, and the quest is completed. Bloodmoon Ursaluna is just as cool, if not even cooler, than the normal form of Ursaluna that we were introduced to in Legends Arceus. Its design honestly is closer in line to Ursaring, given that it stands on two legs. It's definitely more menacing. Like, they really did look at Ursaluna and said, what if we took this bear and we made it really edgy? They also, interestingly enough, made a lot of changes to its stats. Like I said before, normal Ursaluna is a physical attacker, but this new form is actually special attack oriented. On top of that, they decided to give it a higher base stat total. I mean, only 5 points, bringing it to up to 555, so honestly I have no clue why they did it, but hey, it's stronger. It also gets access to its own unique ability called Mind's Eye, that ignores evasion boosts and acts as a free foresight, making it so Ursaluna can hit ghost types with normal type moves, which comes in handy when taking into account its brand new unique move Bloodmoon, which essentially is a 140 damage Hyper Beam without recharge. The only drawback is that you can't use the move twice in a row, but it's still strong. And the busted nature of this Pokemon has been very evident in competitive play, with Bloodmoon Ursaluna rapidly making its way to Smogon's Uber tier. Like, this thing is for real, and it's been so exciting to have it in the game now. But I don't feel like at any point have we stopped and wondered, what really is this thing? So that's the point of this video, to discuss what is Bloodmoon Ursaluna really, and what does its inclusion mean to the franchise going forward, and most importantly, what do we do with it in future generations? Bloodmoon Ursaluna is not really, as of right now, an evolution of Ursaring. There is no way in-game to evolve an Ursaring into this form. Building on top of that, the only way to even get a normal Ursaluna is to evolve an Ursaring in Legends Arceus. You just straight up can't evolve this Pokemon in any other game. Bloodmoon Ursaluna is entirely exclusive to the side quests that you do with Perrin. You can only get one per playthrough, and that's it. So getting more for whatever reason or shiny hunting the thing are completely off the table. Essentially, Bloodmoon Ursaluna is treated more like a legendary and less like the evolution of an old Pokemon. Which I do think is really cool. The idea of having these Pokemon that act as local legends makes the game that much more deep and interesting. It almost reminds me of the massive Dragonite that appears in the Lighthouse episode of the Indigo League anime. Pokemon are mysterious and cool, and adding things like this to the game makes that so. But what do we do going forward? There are more Pokemon games on the horizon, and what we've got here is the strange case of a unique Pokemon that doesn't necessarily need to remain unique. I wish I could say that there's no part of me that thinks that Bloodmoon Ursaluna is going to be lost to history and unique only to Gen 9, but when it comes down to it, this type of thing has happened before. We have had unique Pokemon get lost to time that don't make it to newer generations. The main example that comes to mind immediately is especially interesting. This unique form of a Pokemon has been completely lost to the ages because it was not supported in more recent games. Anyone remember Ash Greninja? That's a rhetorical question, of course. Greninja fans are very vocal, and they are still very butthurt about this. But if you've been out of the loop for whatever reason, way back in the day during the X and Y anime, they gave Ash's Greninja a unique form that it could go into. It was attributed to a battle bond phenomenon that has yet to be revisited in any way. But really, it was an opportunity to give Ash something that could rival Mega Evolution. The crazy thing is that they actually made Ash Greninja a real thing in game. In Sun and Moon, as part of the game's demo, completing the demo was the only way to get an Ash Greninja. I myself did go through the trouble of picking one up years ago. And if you did, it was wild. In order to access this exclusive form, you simply needed to knock out a Pokemon using your Greninja with the Battle Bond ability. Once you did, it would transform into Ash Greninja, boasting a new base stat total of 640, with over 150 special attack and 130 speed. This thing was unbelievable. But where is it today? Gone. Banished to the history of Pokemon as an interesting footnote. There is no way in any modern Pokemon game to access this form. Even if you do transfer that same Greninja into a modern game, its ability will just give you a generic stat boost, nothing more. So why do I bring up this niche piece of Pokemon's past? It's because I'm concerned that Bloodmoon Ursaluna is about to see a similar thing happen to it. I'm worried that it won't be supported in future games, and will fade into the background as another piece of interesting trivia, never to be seen again. So how do we prevent this reality from coming to pass? Well, clearly we need to revamp this evolution line not only to accommodate Bloodmoon Ursaluna, but its original form as well. Remember, you can't evolve Ursaring in Scarlet and Violet. As of right now, you need to get an Ursaring into Legends Arceus either by catching it there or through transfer. You'll then need to dig up a new item called the Peat Block. Then you'll need to wait until the full moon appears in-game and use your Peat Block on your Ursaring. Only then will you be able to get yourself an Ursaluna. Admittedly, this is fairly convoluted and hard to apply in all games moving forward. As far as I know, the only Pokemon game that actually has a cycle for moon phases is Legends Arceus. So if we're really trying to implement Ursaluna in the same way that it has been in the past, the future games would need to have an entire system dedicated to moon phases exclusively for one Pokemon. In the event that this is the case, that in future games Game Freak goes through the trouble of having this niche mechanic, then it's pretty easy to think about how we can get Ursaluna in both of its forms going forward. We can just bring the Peat Block item into the newest games and have it essentially the same. Use the Peat Block on your Ursaring during the full moon and you'll get yourself an Ursaluna. But what should we do in order to get the Blood Moon form? There could definitely be a lunar eclipse event added to the rotation of moon phases that could be put in game. In all seriousness, this would probably be the coolest option. Imagine you're just chilling, playing your game when all of a sudden the moon turns red and unique events start to occur. As cool as that would be, I think it's pretty out there as far as likelihood when we really think about it. But it would be pretty cool, just a lot for one Pokemon. I think the best chance that we have for getting these Pokemon into the future is if we drop the moon phase requirement entirely. Simply make it so you need to use the peat block at night, and then you'll get yourself an Ursaluna. Defining it this way means we can get even more creative when considering the Bloodmoon form. We could add a different item that isn't the peat block. But I have at many times made my opinions concerning the endless amounts of new evolution items known. I'm not a fan, we have plenty, we're good. But when it comes down to it, we easily could do it. That's the easy way out. Or maybe we could pull a Lycanroc and have Bloodmoon Ursaluna only work with a specific ability or time of the night. All I'm saying is that we've got options here. The other potential solution is to not make the forms completely separate from each other. Maybe an Ursaring just can't evolve into Bloodmoon Ursaluna, but maybe it could be possible to change the form of an existing basic Ursaluna into the Bloodmoon. Maybe this could be with some kind of new item or in-game event, like we mentioned. Really, the options end up being limitless. Summing up what we went over, when it comes down to it, Pokemon does have a problem on their hands. They have once again given us a super powerful new form of a Pokemon that is really unique and fun to use. The only problem is that there is no easy guarantee that this Pokemon will be made available in future games. The last thing I want is for Bloodmoon Ursaluna to go the way of Ash Greninja and be lost to the annals of Pokemon history. It deserves to be brought into the newest games in whatever way that can be. In order for this to happen, we will need Ursaluna to become somewhat of a split evolution or changeable form so that we can get it in the future. The effort is worth it though, because look at this thing! I want it to be in my Pokemon games forever! I want to use it on teams and raise up a Teddiursa until it's essentially the bear form of f***ing Satan. Let's make it happen, Pokemon! Now, if you had any thoughts regarding bringing Bloodmoon Ursaluna or normal Ursaluna into the future of Pokemon, be sure to slide on down to the comment section and let me know. I really did only scratch the surface of all the ways we could implement this Pokemon going forward. If being here for a Pokemon discussion like this was something that you really enjoyed, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more. And if you're hoping to join the growing JarVitar community, I've linked our Discord server in the description. There you can chat with me and other community members as well, and find out about stream times. And as always, if the Pokemon TCG is something you're really passionate about, be sure to check out my brother's channel, Jarchomp Collectibles. And with that, peace out, Pokemon trainers.